human beings by nature are irrational. When you're always trying to appeal to the rational, you miss the power of the emotional. And the reason why the Vaseline works so much is because it's supercharged with emotion. Yeah?
What have you seen this year that you realize makes marketing truly effective and impactful in ways that is different or unique from all the other years and all the other spaces that you've occupied?
I think for me, it's not necessarily something that makes it different, but something that's always been consistent is the work that sets out to solve a pain point.
On The Lead Creative, we often ask what makes marketing truly effective, not just provocative, but commercially and culturally meaningful. In this series, we speak to Effie Awards South Africa jurors, marketers, and agency leads to explore what drives real impact. The Effies celebrate ideas that grow brands, shift perception, and build relevance. We unpack what makes winning work, how top brands think about effectiveness, and the role of brave, bold ideas in marketing today. Because the Effies, in our view, aren't just about what you made or created, but what it truly achieved. Share your thoughts on some of the most impactful marketing work you've seen recently. And please share this conversation and subscribe to The Lead Creative. We're now joined by Elizabeth Mokwena, the Executive Marketing Director of Unilever. Elizabeth, thanks so much for making time.
Thank you for having me.
You are very involved in the creative industry, in supporting the creative industry and also being involved in it as in your personal capacity. I mean, I saw you at the Bookmarks. You were jury president at the Bookmarks. I know involved with the Marketing Achievement Awards, and of course here. How have you seen this sort of shift the lever for the brand, your involvement, and you're seeing what's happening in the creative industry so much?
I think for me, I always find it as a responsibility as a leader for a wider organization to bring the voice of the outside in. Not only with our consumers, but also what's happening in industry. And I am a firm believer that creativity is a superpower in terms of transforming societies, transforming industries, transforming humans. And I am very intentional in showing up in spaces where I can not only give of myself in terms of that passion, but I can also learn. And I think the Effies is one of those areas where I can absolutely learn from the best work, not only from a creativity point of view, but also this case of defending what marketing does.
Yes.
And I'm always like, the results is the proof in the pudding. And I think Effies is one of those industry moments where we're saying we're not just rewarding creativity for creativity's sake, and there's a space for that. But when you are then working in corporate organizations where our main responsibility is to our shareholders who invest their money with us, we as marketers need to be able to articulate the value creation that we make, right?
Absolutely.
And how do you do that when you don't have the results or the data that proves that marketing is still the best place to put your money for an organization? So I am super excited about always partnering with the creative industry, because I find that is an extension of the work that I do on brands. And so being closer to what's happening there will make me a better marketer in the end of the process.
I think that's a fascinating way to look at it, because while many marketers are involved, they're also time-starved, and agencies also talk about being time-starved. But if we don't get into each other's worlds a lot, we don't collaborate better, and we don't put out work that is really effective. I mentioned that you were on the Effie Awards South Africa jury, and I also mentioned that you do this quite a lot, of course. What have you seen this year that you realize makes marketing truly effective and impactful in ways that is different or unique from all the other years and all the other spaces that you've occupied?
I think for me, it's not necessarily something that makes it different, but something that's always been consistent, is the work that sets out to solve a pain point for the consumer or the customer always elevates to the top, because the very essence of what we are doing is solving people's problems and solving it in a meaningful way, in a distinct way that then drives preference for our brands.
Yeah.
So I think the work that we celebrated tonight, one, was insightful.
Yes.
Meaning whoever was working on it was really curious about the problems that their audience had.
Yeah.
And then they partnered that with the creativity in articulating how their brands or their solutions are best placed to solve that problem. And for me, that is, in the world of everything that's changing, that is the one thing that will always stay the same, is that we exist to solve societal and individual problems. Whether that's just, I want to laugh,
yes,
or I want to know that I'm going to get a quality service, or I want something that is really provocative, or something that inspires me to dream. That is the job that we all have. And I think the work that we've elevated today has shown that when you're curious about the people that you're serving, and you mirror or partner that with creativity, then the results will speak for themselves.
Marketing is also fun.
Yes.
It's also very exciting, and it's been very exciting to see brands doing some of the work that they've been doing. One of your brands that has gone viral in recent times is Vaseline.
Yes.
We are talking about Mntana Gogo quite a lot in South Africa right now. Right? And I've been seeing brands like that leaning into heritage, especially coming out of Heritage Month, more than I suppose I've seen them in past years. I think it was a very competitive kind of Heritage Month. How do you see work like that, work that's that impactful, work that's that insightful, really delivering on effectiveness and the bottom line for you as a marketer?
I think for me, it's, when you think of systems, we always talk about human beings by nature are irrational.
Yes.
When you're always trying to appeal to the rational, you miss the power of the emotional. And the reason why the Vaseline works so much is because it's supercharged with emotion. For generations, we've all had an encounter with this brand. And where the risk has been is in the desire to look modern and show that you're keeping up with the times, you can lose the essence of why consumers still regard you as worthy of being in their consumer basket. And the work on Vaseline was really about saying, what does South Africa know us for?
Yes.
When you ask that question and you start unpacking it, there's the modern Vaseline with the CeraGlow work that we've been doing with the gels and glazing skin. But then there's also the layer of, the argan oil with the stretch marks. But all of us have had an encounter with the petroleum jelly.
Yes.
And when you then start tapping into what made your brand great in the past, and giving it a refreshing modern view that connects with everybody to the point that people want to share it. That's where success is. And I think the lesson in Vaseline for me is heritage brands are in this predicament of, do I throw away everything that made me great and tap onto the new thing that is trending? Or do I celebrate some of what made me great without looking antiquated or vintage or old? And I think the work shows that when you tap into human emotion through just a poster and some very crafty copywriting, the power that you can have. And what's beautiful, I think, for me with the Vaseline work is it aimed to resonate with South Africans. For Heritage Day.
And it did.
The amount of response from an international market tells you that you guys have tapped into a global insight. And where I get excited is where we find a human truth that can resonate resonate universally.
Yeah.
Because then you know you are onto a big idea. And I think that's one of the things I think I'd encourage is don't go hyper local to the point that your work can't even live outside of Hammanskraal or Durban.
Yes.
But what is that human connection that we can all share in? That even though I don't live or reside in those spaces, but I know that I'm seeing in the work that you do.
I think A.B. Mokgwatsane, the CMO of Investec, spoke to what you're talking to right now and kind of summarized it, where I think the job of marketing is to make the complex simple or something like that. And I think this Vaseline work did exactly that. It found this thing that is so complex but simplified it to just just the one thing and the essence, which resonates which really resonates globally. Retail and FMCG though are in a very difficult and complex place because of inflation showing brand and price. And that erodes, I suppose, brand and brand growth and value. How do you balance that?
Yeah. I think for FMCG as a category, innovation is the lifeblood of FMCG. In order to continue to command a premium, you need to be justifying why the consumer has to take their very well-earned money and put it behind whatever offering that you have. And innovation is the thing that reappraises your meaning in people's lives, but also differentiates you from the category norms. And so the work of marketers is to really identify the things that we have not yet solved for consumers before they even know sometimes that they need those, solutions. Like before you had an iPod, you didn't know you needed that, right?
That's true.
And before you had a phone that did everything that the iPod and the Walkman, and you couldn't verbalize it, but we knew where your problems lay.
Yes.
So I think that's the responsibility of marketers, and when you're able to do that consistently, then you are able to command a premium. I'll use an example of Comfort, a fabric conditioner that existed in the market for a while, but had not yet connected with where consumers were. This year we decided, actually, what we're selling is what consumers are seeking.
Yes.
But the way we've been communicating it has been off. So how do you democratize fine fragrance? For the person who can't afford to pay 3,000 rands for a perfume at a certain, exclusive retailer, I would give them airtime. But we all want those moments of luxury. We all want those moments of indulgence. And how can we rethink a fabric conditioner to become that for South Africans? That's the work of marketing.
That's it.
And I think the launches that we've done on Comfort speak to that. The same thing, talks to some of the innovations that we've done on a Domestos. Where we said, bleach is a bleach is a bleach.
Sure.
So what's next?
Yes.
The next thing is killing germs in spaces people didn't even know germs existed. And that's why we launched Power Foam. So these are some small examples of how, as marketers, we need to continue to look at what are people missing? Where are the blind spots that we're not addressing? Because that is our job. Now, commoditization happens when the market leader stops leading and creating the new S-curve that people need to follow. And I think I am grateful that I'm able to lead a category where we are a dominant market leader in each of the categories that we play in. And therefore the role of innovating for everybody's benefit, whether that's my consumer, whether that's my shareholder, whether that's my customer, and whether that's for my marketeers who need to be inspired to continue to create. That role I don't take lightly. So innovation, innovation, innovation.
Elizabeth, we ask our guests to leave a question for our next guest as a way of passing the mic to our next guest. And one of our previous guests was a co-juror at the Effies, Mandisa Teko-Kitsane, the CMO of Sanlam Retail Mass. And the question she left was, what are you doing from a brand perspective to improve the lives of the communities you serve and sell to?
It's a beautiful question, and I think there's no other company that's well poised in this country to answer that question. Unilever has always been a purpose-driven company. I think purpose-driven marketing is a case study that a lot of other companies have studied from the likes of a Unilever. So whether you think of a brand like Domestos, that for over 10 years has been involved in solving for the sanitation crisis in this country, beyond just flushing toilets, but partnering with government to reach students. Every year I think we're reaching over 1 million learners on how to protect themselves, how to practice safe sanitation behaviors, and also how do we rebuild infrastructure in order to do that. I think Unilever fundamentally believes in purpose. So we believe in purposeful brands, we believe in a purposeful organization, and we believe in individuals finding their purpose. Because once you have found your purpose, you're able to show up in our organization and plug into spaces that will make you come alive, and therefore you're able to perform better. So I absolutely believe that thinking about why we exist is an essential question for a lot of organizations. And for Unilever, we exist to brighten everyday lives for all. We play in mass market. Our products are used 2-3 times a day even. And if we can make those moments easier, better for our consumers, then we're achieving our role. The other part that we have is, because we are a huge manufacturer, one of the top 5 FMCG manufacturers in this country, we have a role to play in some of the societal issues that we have. So youth employment, Unilever is very much involved in making sure that we're creating jobs for the next generation. Localization. So we're not just bringing fully manufactured products into the country and not actually employing South Africans. I think we moved from a place where we're around 40%, and I stand to be corrected by my supply chain colleagues, but 40% of our entire production was localized. We are now at a point where 80% of the products that we create are being made and sourced on this market. So not only does that make our supply chain resilient, but it means that everybody that we partner with in the value chain is creating jobs in that space. And I think that corporate does not exist outside of the societal challenges in which it operates. And therefore there is a responsibility for us to think about how do we use our operation to make South Africa better, whether that's from where we source, from the people that we hire, from the communities we exist in and making a difference there, but also using our spend as marketers. Unilever is one of the big spenders in the media space. How do we make sure that we are using that money to transform the industry in a way that we want it to be seen in this country? So 100% love that question, and I think Unilever is doing its part.
Awesome. Now it's your turn to pass the mic to our next guest by leaving a question. So what is the one question that you'd like to ask our next guest about creativity, their creative process, marketing, thoughts on marketing, or even life for that matter?
I think one of the most pertinent questions right now is the role of CMOs in the C-suite. So what do we believe the role of marketing in the C-suite will be in the future? And what tools do we think we have to defend and make a data-driven defense for the role of marketing in creating value for organizations?
How far ahead in the future?
Let's give it 5 years. Let's not be too long.
5 years. All right. Elizabeth, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all the contribution that you make in the creative industry. It's really showing.
Thank you so much.
It was a real honor to have you on the show with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.